Hello, my name is Hugo. I am the resident director here at the Phantom of the Opera. Thank you for joining us. This is a show which has played to over 160 million people in 47 territories, in 195 cities, in over 21 languages. Earlier this year, the show performed its 15,000th performance, making it only the third production in history to set this record after The Mousetrap and Les Mis. So this is an iconic piece of theatre, and I am very excited to be joined here by three iconic legends of the musical theatre. Joanna Ampil playing Carlotta Giudicelli, Dean Chisnall playing the Phantom, and Helen Hobson playing Madame Giry. Thank you all so much for joining me to talk Phantom of the Opera.
Pleasure.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship to the Phantom of the Opera? What's your history with this show been?
Well, I've always been a fan, and over or almost 20 years ago, I actually auditioned for it, and it wasn't the right time. And I always thought that Phantom will always be one of those shows that's going to be unattainable, until recently when I had the courage to audition for it again. And I'm living the dream now.
Oh, good. Well, we're very, very glad you are. Dean, what about you? What's your relationship to Phantom been?
Gosh, I remember seeing this show as a young teenager many, many years ago at the Liverpool Empire when it was on tour, which is the biggest theatre that's closest to where I grew up. And I just thought it was the most spectacular thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I still believe that to this day. And I thought one day I'll dream of being in that show, let alone did I think I'd ever be sitting here as the Phantom. So I feel really, really lucky.
I think it's an interesting show to be a part of, isn't it? Because for so many people, it is their gateway into musical theatre. Helen, was it like that for you?
It's similar to Joe, perhaps, because I auditioned for Christine, I think, absolutely years ago. And I remember having a big conversation with the MD and the agent and thinking, oh, a soprano, is that what I want to do? Because that's got to be, I graduated in 1986 then, didn't I? With the same year that it opened, didn't I? So, and there was all that, the Les Mis was just opening, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, it would have been,
just opened, yeah.
Chess, the cast album, so it was all that wah, as opposed to oh. So I didn't know which direction I wanted to go in, and I really thought about it long and hard, but decided I would do the wah as opposed to the so I don't think I came back from my recall. I don't think I came back. And so I just thought it was a show I would never be in. I just kind of, just carried on and just dismissed it, I think, because I thought perhaps I'll never do that.
What's really lovely, actually, on a show like this is that we do have people sort of who come through the show who might begin early in their career as a cover, and then come into that role later in their career, or they, might start playing a younger role and then be performing an older role. And what's really lovely with the three of you is that you're all coming to this completely fresh, with no sort of phantom baggage, and it's so refreshing. And I'd love to hear, Joanna, what's your approach been in coming to the role of Carlotta?
Well, this is the first time I'm singing with an operatic style. I've always done shows where I was required to sing belt, and I wanted to take on a challenge. That's why I went up for Carlotta, and little did I know that I was going to be successful in my audition. So, yeah, it's wonderful to be doing it night after night. I mean, it was intimidating at first, but yeah, I'm really loving it.
How is she as a character to play? She's
a lot of fun.
Yeah. Really
a lot of fun, and I get to showcase a lot of emotions here as well, which is wonderful. She cries, she's funny without trying to be funny. It's just a funny character, and yeah, it's all those things, I suppose. And I tried to always create a backstory for my characters, and this was no different.
I love that about your Carlotta. You bring such a sense of dignity and restraint to her, and the comedy is all there, but there's enormous heart and authenticity as well. And
I wanted her to be so human. So yeah, thank you for allowing me to do that.
Oh, it's very exciting to watch. Is it intimidating playing a role that has such a weight of expectation around it?
Undoubtedly, yeah, it's terrifying, and you try not to think about it too much until someone brings it up in an interview. But you try not to take that pressure on with you. Of course, we all know that we're in the lights when the show goes up at 7:30. There is a weight of expectation with the production itself, with the role itself. All I can do is do my best and hope it's enough, and please God it is.
And Helen, how about you? Madame Giry is such a mysterious character. How have you found a way into her? What's your approach been?
I think it's probably to do with her physicality, I think. And I watched the Ballet Girls a lot because I was determined. I am not a dancer by any stretch of the imagination, although I do have cats on my CV. But thank God, the lovely Chrissy Cartwright, she was there then too. She's here, they're here with me now. So I did watch them quite a bit, and I worked really hard on posture and stuff like that. That stick as well has been a part of my process. But I think it's interesting you talk about the sort of the human side of it, because it is heightened. It is a really heightened piece of musical theatre, and yet I was never made to feel like that it was, or it was particularly melodramatic. You know, she is how she is, and that's how she shows up, and that's her world. And yeah, what's her backstory? Why does she do all that? Why does she turn up in the way that she does, and why is she so austere, so separate? And it was, yeah, you're right. Your character is similar to mine in a way. We are very, very, very separate, aren't we? We don't kind of mingle or interact with anybody else. So that's a little odd. Well, I have this mad backstory that I've only shared with a couple of people, so it looks like the secret's going to be out now.
Settle in.
I had this idea about, did I let you out of that cage, that locked cage, and did I have an affair with your father? And is
She
Meg...
never told me this.
I know, and is Meg your half-sister, therefore? And so I've kind of gone off into a very strange kind of world about that. But I often think about that as I'm talking to Raoul. Have I got so much resentment, and why am I so detached? And what have I lost? And then when I come on to meet you, because I wonder if everybody assumes, well, oh, she was Christine,
yeah,
maybe she was part of that. And, you know, there is the relationship between the Phantom and Giry, and I'm not sure that it was. So I don't know.
That's wonderful.
What do you think?
There's enough in that answer for the entire interview.
Yeah, absolutely. You all opened with the show in the end of July. You've been doing it for a couple of months now. How have you found it so far?
I've always been so intimidated by it.
Right.
I mean, you are in a legendary show. I'm kind of like embracing, you know, all of that, and thinking, yeah, I am here for a reason, and I have to own this part. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, good. I'm relieved to hear that.
It's true, because the expectation is hard, isn't
Oh, absolutely.
It is so iconic.
Yeah.
And we are packed. The audience, it is full and full and full, and the atmosphere is just extraordinary. So the expectation, it's huge, isn't it?
Dean, how have you found the last couple of months?
Extraordinary. I remember, Joe, we watched the show together just before we opened.
Yes.
So we watched the previous cast, and
it was just as impactful then.
we left the building
like,
so incredibly excited to be taking over the following week, but equally terrified, you know. But what a thrill to do it, you know. As we've already said, the house is full, but also the atmosphere backstage is incredible. We've got such a wonderful company. The energy in the building is gorgeous.
We're very lucky.
It just feels like a real privilege, and I tend to bang on about that, but we are so lucky. We are mere custodians of this extraordinary piece of theatre.
All three of them are really demanding roles, and it's a demanding show, vocally, emotionally, physically. What does your sort of day-to-day routine look like in terms of keeping yourself ready to deliver all of that?
I think what some people perhaps don't understand, and I can only speak for myself, so forgive me, I'm not speaking for you two, is the moment you wake up, you're on.
Yeah, you are.
The show is happening at 7:30.
You're working out.
But the moment you wake up, you need to start to be getting ready.
Yeah.
So the day is long, and that is tiring. But I think that's what being a professional is. You know you have to deliver that night. So you don't wake up and think, oh well, I'll just spend 3 or 4 hours just doing nothing. Your brain is on from the moment my eyes open.
I know so many performers who just wake up and siren first thing in the morning.
Yeah. We've all been there.
Ours really start from the moment we wake up until the very end of the show.
That's how I see it every day. Yeah.
Is there a particular moment in the show? It could be something you're in, or maybe it's something you just get to watch that you look forward to every evening.
The lair.
Really, the final layer?
Yeah, final layer.
See, it's the same for me, and I'm in it. I hope that doesn't... It's just so raw and intense and so emotional, and you literally have to go on there and throw the whole lot at it.
Yeah.
You know, it's an extraordinary thing to do. That last 10 minutes of the show.
Yes, last 10 minutes.
Just remarkable. It really is. And so I would pick the same, not because I'm in the scene, but that's always been the scene, I think, for me when I've come to see the show. I've gone, my God, how did they get through that?
It's an amazing moment musically as well, because you get all of the musical themes and motifs that you've heard through the evening just coming together in this climactic event.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. It really is. And that entire, you know, Andrew refers to it as high romance score. It is that last few minutes. My goodness me. And I can speak for myself. I'm absolutely shattered by the end of that moment, because you've just got to get on there and do it.
I think, what is it called? Is it Managers One, where when we all come in a clump and we have that big finish, and I get to sing a top B flat, and I love that. I love that when we're all singing that together. That feels so exciting.
Powerful,
I love that bit, and I love Masquerade.
I'm really lucky. I like to take a moment every night, and I get a couple of moments without giving spoilers away, as we previously discussed. I'm just alone with my thoughts on the stage in a particular piece of set, and the show is happening, and I just get to sit there and listen. I have never felt so lucky in my life when I hear all of you open your mouths to sing, and Lily and Joe do All I Ask of You, and then I appear somewhere else. And I just think, for me, that is the most precious
magical
thing. That's such a special thing in this show, for me personally. I just get to sit there, and sometimes I close my eyes and just take it all in.
And is there anything you're particularly looking forward to over the course of the next 10 months that you're going to be here doing Phantom of the Opera?
I feel like I'm still starting, you know, because I'm just loving it, loving my time here. So.
Wonderful.
I think you have to try and live in the moment when you do a show this special. If you get too far ahead, it can run away. Actually, it's really important you try so desperately to stay in the moment, because none of us know how long we're going to be here, hopefully for a considerable time. But you have to live each day as it is, and each show as it is. And every show is different. That's what people don't quite understand. Yes, we do 8 shows a week, and we've done plus 70 shows already. But not one of them's ever been the same.
No.
So if you ever get too far ahead, the whole thing will just mould into one thing. But actually, I think it's so precious that you stay in the moment and live each show as it is. And then you just, by its very nature, look forward to everything that comes with it.
It's a very good point. It's probably one of the most common questions, isn't it? How do you do the same thing every night?
It is.
But it's not the same. Yeah.
The same thing isn't every night, which it can't be for other people in other jobs. You know, when they answer the telephone, hello, Helen, Hobson Industries, how can I help you? You're going to have a different customer on the other end of the line. It's different every day. So why
and there's a different 1,200 people out there every night with a different
atmosphere.
Reaction, a different understudy on, a different person conducting the show. The whole thing is different every day. I think people really need to understand that. And that's what keeps shows alive.
Well, thank you all so much for having this conversation. It's been so wonderful to hear about your process and your experiences in the show. And I'm just so grateful to be working with you all as well. It's really wonderful.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. What about you? What's your
go on, Helen.
your process? Come on then. What about your process when you first joined the show? Because you had to learn it in a different way to us, didn't you? The job of
did.
A
I
resident
came
director.
in post-COVID, so the show was reopening and certain things were being restaged. There was some new design elements. So it did in some ways feel like opening a brand new show, and I got the chance to be in the rehearsal room with everyone for 4 or 5 weeks and then sit through technical rehearsals. So unlike doing a cast change, it was that experience of kind of opening a show in a way that did give me a chance to really learn and understand the way that it was all put together. But it was also very intimidating because coming onto something like this, you are working with a lot of people who have a lot of history with it, and I didn't have that, So fortunately, Seth, our director, I got to work very closely closely with him, and he is a Phantom of the Opera encyclopedia, as I know you are all aware. So, you know,
incredible.
every minute that I get with him, I sort of try and ask him another question about something in the show or the reason something is the way it is. And so I think I've absorbed a lot through those conversations as well. But, you know, I, like you all, I grew up watching Phantom of the Opera, you know, and it was my way into wanting to work in the musical theatre. So I also just feel so lucky that I get to have such an intimate relationship with this thing that I, you know, grew up idolizing. It feels really wonderful.
Have you ever been on? Have you ever had to be a swing?
Not yet,
Come
no,
on.
not yet. Do you know, I always worry about this because I think in my position where you have to sort of note people about their performances, if I come on and, you know, trip over and fall down the trapdoor, you know, I'll never live it down. I'll never be able to give another note again.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. So no, I've tried to avoid that so far. Yeah.
And what about a moment? Have you got a special
Do you know the
moment?
bit I love? I mean, I love the final air, as you both said. But I love the section coming out of the Don Juan panic and the red tabs are in and you finish your moment with Raoul and you drag him off stage and then the tabs sort of come open and the music just continues throughout. And then behind the tabs we reveal, you know, the journey, the boat coming down the lake with all the candles. And you know, just moments before we were looking at a completely different set. And it's like magic. It's pure theatre magic, you know.
The set is absolutely extraordinary. When I watch it during rehearsals, the opening where everything just keeps leaving and leaving and leaving and leaving. Where's it all coming from? It's like, you know where it comes from. You've been on stage, you know. It's amazing.
38 years later, there is no show that can touch it.
Yeah.
In that sense. There really isn't. That's how magical it is.
And don't you think that's what the success is of perhaps this, it's not so unusual now, but the long-running show, the attention to detail. I mean, 38 years later, and my costume, from my boots down to the hats that I wear, have been made for me specifically. I'm not just fitting in one of the last 38 years persons. I have had everything made from scratch. The coat that I wear in the auction at the beginning, which is just so beautiful, and the beadwork and the fake fur, it feels just amazing. And the heaviness of it, it's brand new and it's on for 3 minutes, 2 minutes maybe. It's exceptional.
I don't think I'll ever complain about my costume being heavy because I absolutely adore what I have to wear in the show.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's amazing. I've never worn anything like it in any of the shows that I've done. It's really...
Has anybody ever weighed a costume, I wonder?
I think they have, yeah. I think there are some figures which I wish I could tell you off the top of my head
come on.
about the weight of particular costumes in
Because
the show.
I wonder if yours are the heaviest, or if that red cape you wear, that is really heavy.
It is heavy.
Everyone who is responsible for taking care of this production as well, you know, the costume supervisors, the design team, the lighting team, the creative team, you know, everyone is so passionate and cares so much about what this show is and what it means to people.
And they do way more hours than we do. They are the heroes of the show. Wigs have been in this building, it's 4 p.m. now, they've been in the building for hours, making the show ready for tonight. Wardrobe are the same. They are the heroes of the production. But what goes in, you're right, the attention to detail, I think, is what stands this.
Yeah, it's the sense of care and love for what it is, I think, that really, you know, keeps it alive after all these years.
And even though there is, it's a takeover, there is that point about you in working with you, that you are allowed a little bit, it's your Phantom. It's your Carlotta,
Creative
isn't it?
freedom.
It's the creative freedom. So that's been quite interesting.
Yeah,
too.
and again, that's how these things stay alive. Thank you so much
Thanks, Hugo.
for being here and being a part of this.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for watching.